You didn't find this message by chance. You didn't stumble on these words by mistake. Something inside you was already searching, already reaching, already signaling for the shift you have been sensing but could not fully name. That signal has been growing stronger with each passing day, and now you are here because your inner key has finally turned on. The moment this key activates, nothing in your life remains the same. The world you thought was fixed begins to move. The rules you believed were unshakable start to bend. The identity you carried for years begins to dissolve. The activation of this key is the start of a completely new way of living, and you can feel it. Think back to the last few weeks or months. You've noticed the strange pull toward new ideas. You felt restless when you try to stay inside old patterns. The conversations that once made sense now sound empty. The routines that once felt safe now feel heavy. It's as if something is whispering that there is more, that you are meant to rise into a different version of yourself. This is not imagination. This is not random. This is the awakening of your consciousness. The old story is no longer enough to contain you, and that's why you feel both excited and unsettled. The discomfort is not a problem. The discomfort is a sign. You may even feel it in your body. Moments when time bends, when minutes feel like hours or hours vanish in minutes. Moments when your thoughts ripple out and the world responds with synchronicities that cannot be explained away. You think of someone and they suddenly message you. You wonder about an answer and it shows up in the very next conversation you have. These aren't coincidences. These are signals. They are proof that you are beginning to create consciously. Your inner system is recalibrating to match a higher frequency. You are crossing the threshold into a life where thought and reality are connected in ways you can no longer deny. The people around you may not understand. They may cling to the old version of reality while you sense a new one unfolding. They may tell you to be realistic when what they mean is stay small. They may laugh at the dreams that keep pulling at you because those dreams scare them. They live inside walls, but you are beginning to see doors opening. They see limitations, but you are feeling possibilities. And this difference can create tension. You might feel isolated, like nobody else can quite grasp what's happening inside you. That is normal. It's the first sign that your quantum leap key has turned on. You are no longer playing by the same rules as everyone else. Something deep within you is waking up, and it is impossible to put it back to sleep. Your thoughts are no longer passive background noise. They are energy in motion. They are signals. They are seeds that shape the soil of reality. What you focus on gains power. What you repeat becomes real. What you refuse to accept begins to dissolve. The shift is subtle at first, but undeniable. The dreams you hold are no longer daydreams. They are instructions. They are blueprints. They are pathways into alternate versions of your life that are already waiting for you. You are not waiting for life to change anymore. You are stepping into the truth that you are the one who changes life. This new state feels unfamiliar. Sometimes it even feels unstable. When the key activates, the old patterns collapse quickly. Friendships may fade. Relationships may shift. Opportunities may close in order to make space for the ones that align. Doors you thought were permanent may slam shut only for new ones to appear where you never expected them. The ground itself feels like it is moving under your feet, but this is not chaos. This is recalibration. The structures of your life are rearranging themselves to match the frequency of the person you are becoming. It can feel disorienting, but it is necessary. You cannot carry the old reality into the new one. The truth is simple. You are no longer a bystander. You are no longer trapped in the illusion that life is happening to you. Life is happening through you. Every thought, every choice, every emotion is a signal you broadcast. And now those signals are being amplified. The key has awakened. The switch is on. Your power is active. The journey into your highest reality has already begun. You can resist it and cling to what feels familiar, or you can trust it and step into the unknown. Either way, the shift is here. Consider the moments when you felt lost, when you believed you were stuck, when you thought nothing would change. Those weren't wasted moments. They were preparation. The struggle was never about breaking you. It was about shaping you. The closed doors weren't punishment. They were alignment. The heartbreak wasn't failure. It was clearing space for a new reality. Every challenge, every delay, every disappointment was part of the preparation that allowed your key to turn. Without those moments, your nervous system would not be ready to hold the level of awareness you are stepping into now. And now you can sense it in the smallest details, that subtle stirring in your chest, the sudden waves of energy behind your eyes, the tingling sensation at the back of your neck. These are not random signals. These are the first signs that your energy field is expanding. You are broadcasting on a new frequency. You are walking through the same world, but you are no longer the same person. It's not about forcing things to happen. It's not about grinding harder or pushing more. The key doesn't respond to force. It responds to awareness. It responds to trust. The more you trust this process, the faster the shift becomes. The more you resist, the heavier it feels. And here is what most people never realize. When your quantum leap key activates, you don't create a new reality from scratch. You step into one that already exists. The version of you who is confident, free, successful, at peace, it already exists. The version of you who has broken through the fear, who has created the abundance, who has stepped into love, it already exists. The key doesn't build that version. The key connects you to it. That's why you're here, to remember, to recognize, to reclaim the truth that you have always carried but were taught to forget. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not defined by what has happened before. You are consciousness selecting experience. You are the observer shaping reality. And now that your key is active, every thought, every choice, every focus point matters more than ever. This is only the beginning. You are just stepping into the first stage of what will become the greatest shift of your life. The old story has ended. The new one has begun. The key is on. The signal is live. The question is no longer whether you are ready. The question is whether you will use it. When the key activates, the first realization is simple but life-changing. Nothing in your reality is fixed. Everything is fluid. Everything is moving. The circumstances that seemed unshakable are shifting already. The limits that felt permanent are dissolving before your eyes. The more you notice this, the more undeniable it becomes. Life is not a chain holding you down. Life is a canvas waiting for the brush of your awareness. The problem most people face is not that they lack power. It is that they never learn how to direct it. They scatter their energy in every direction. They replay old hurts. They rehearse worst-case scenarios. They focus on fear. And then they wonder why the future feels heavy. What they don't see is that every thought is a vote. Every focus point is a seed. Every emotional state is a broadcast, and the world cannot help but respond. You have felt this in moments, even if you didn't recognize it. A time when you believed with certainty and doors opened faster than you imagined. A time when you felt joy and opportunities multiplied around you. A time when you trusted yourself and the right people appeared at the right moment. These weren't accidents. They were glimpses of how reality responds when your energy is aligned. The difference now is that your key is active. You are no longer stumbling into these moments. You are learning to create them on purpose. This is where the real shift begins. You must choose what to focus on. You must decide which version of yourself you will give your energy to. Because right now, countless versions of your life are alive in the field of possibility. There is a version where you keep repeating the past. There is a version where you rise into your highest self. Both exist. Both are real. Both are waiting. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is which one you will choose. Choice is the secret doorway. Choice is the path that separates those who stay asleep from those who wake up. Most people never realize they are choosing all the time. They think they are reacting. They think they are victims of circumstance. But reaction is also a choice. Refusal is also a choice. Belief in limitation is also a choice. The only difference is that it's unconscious. The moment you bring awareness to your choices, everything changes. This is where discipline enters. Not the heavy discipline of force and punishment, the lighter discipline of awareness. The practice of noticing your focus and redirecting it. The practice of choosing again and again until the new pattern becomes natural. Every time you choose growth instead of fear, you strengthen the frequency of your higher reality. Every time you choose trust instead of doubt, you align with the version of yourself that already lives in freedom. Every time you choose gratitude instead of resentment, you amplify the broadcast of abundance. And yes, this requires courage, because when you start choosing differently, the old version of your life will resist. Old habits will pull at you. Old voices will echo in your head. Old fears will try to convince you that nothing can change. But those echoes are not the truth. They are the residue of the life you are leaving behind. And they only have power if you keep feeding them. Every time you ignore the echo and choose the new signal, the old voice fades a little more. The beauty of this process is that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it right every single time. You only need to be consistent enough to tip the balance. Imagine two scales. On one side are your old choices, heavy with fear and doubt. On the other side are your new choices, light with courage and trust. At first, the old side feels heavier, but every new choice adds weight to the other scale. One day, the balance shifts. And once it shifts, the momentum carries you forward faster than you can imagine. This is the phase you are entering now, the tipping point, the stage where small, consistent choices begin to carry exponential power, the stage where you realize that no effort is wasted. Every thought matters, every choice matters, every moment of awareness matters. Even when the change isn't visible yet, the frequency shift is already happening inside you. And once your frequency locks in, reality has no choice but to match it. This is why patience is required, not the kind of patience that waits passively, the kind of patience that trusts actively, the patience that says, I know my focus is working, I know my energy is aligning, I know the shift is real even before I see the evidence. Because here is the truth. Reality is delayed feedback. What you are experiencing today is the echo of the frequency you broadcasted yesterday. What you will experience tomorrow is the result of the energy you hold today. Change doesn't always appear instantly, but it always begins instantly. The real danger is not failure. The real danger is giving up too soon. Most people quit in the middle of the shift. They plant the seed but dig it up before it can grow. They water the soil but stop before the roots form. They focus for a week, maybe two, then fall back into old patterns because the evidence hasn't shown up yet. But you are not here to quit. You are not here to live the same story again and again. You are here to see the process through. So what does this look like in daily life? It looks like catching yourself when fear speaks and choosing faith instead. It looks like replacing the old story of lack with a new story of possibility. It looks like holding the vision of your future self even when the present doesn't match yet. It looks like choosing actions that line up with where you're going instead of where you've been. These are not massive, dramatic gestures. They are small, steady shifts repeated with awareness. And those small shifts create massive results when compounded over time. As you keep choosing, something else begins to happen. The universe responds more quickly. Opportunities that once took years now appear in months. Changes that once required endless effort now unfold with ease. You begin to notice that the gap between intention and manifestation is closing. What used to feel like coincidence becomes predictable. What used to feel like luck becomes natural. And that's because your frequency has reached coherence. Your energy is no longer scattered. Your choices are no longer contradictory. You are broadcasting one clear signal, and reality has no choice but to mirror it back. This is the reward of conscious choice. The power to collapse timelines, the ability to step into new realities without forcing, without begging, without struggle. You shift not because you fight harder, but because you align deeper. You rise not because you push more, but because you allow more. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Conscious choice is not a skill you learn once. It is a state you live in. It is the foundation of a new identity. And here is the key insight. Identity is everything. If you still see yourself as the old version, you will keep making old choices. If you still define yourself by past failures, you will keep recreating them. If you still carry the belief that you are powerless, you will keep giving power away. But when you shift your identity, everything else shifts automatically. When you know yourself as the conscious creator, your choices naturally align with creation. When you know yourself as abundant, your choices naturally align with abundance. When you know yourself as free, your choices naturally align with freedom. That's the next stage of your journey, the shift from choice to identity, the stage where you no longer have to force new choices because your very sense of self has changed. The stage where you no longer ask, "How do I become this?" because you simply are this. The stage where the key doesn't just flicker on and off, it locks in permanently. You are stepping into that stage now. You are not just making new choices, you are becoming a new self. The old identity is dissolving. The new identity is forming. And the choices you make in this phase will determine how quickly and how powerfully that transformation takes hold. Choose with awareness. Choose with courage. Choose with trust. The key is active. The door is open. The path is waiting. When the key is active, awareness is not enough. Choice is not enough. At some point, the deeper shift must happen, the shift of identity. This is the stage where everything accelerates. Because while thoughts create ripples and choices build momentum, it is identity that anchors the reality you live in every single day. If you continue to carry the identity of the old self, you will keep repeating the old story no matter how much you think or how many choices you try to make. But when you shift your identity, your entire life reorganizes itself to match. This is why manifestation often feels slow for people. They try to change their life while holding onto the same identity. They repeat affirmations, but inside they still see themselves as limited. They visualize abundance, but inside they still believe they are broke. They imagine success, but inside they still define themselves by failure. This inner conflict blocks the signal. It scatters the energy. It creates resistance. And then they say it doesn't work, but the truth is, it always works. The field always mirrors identity. It cannot be tricked. It cannot be deceived. It responds to who you believe you are. So ask yourself, who are you choosing to be? Are you choosing to stay trapped in the story of your past, or are you choosing to step into the identity of your future self? The future self is not a fantasy. It is not a dream. It already exists. It is alive in the field of possibility, broadcasting its frequency even now. Every time you feel a glimpse of that version of yourself, confident, clear, powerful, it is because you are tuning into that broadcast. The signal is there. The key connects you to it. The only task is alignment. Identity is not built in one giant leap. It is formed through repetition. Every time you act as the future self, you reinforce the identity. Every time you think as the future self, you strengthen the frequency. Every time you choose as the future self, you anchor the reality. These may seem like small steps, but identity does not need drama. It needs consistency. And with consistency, identity becomes automatic. Once it locks in, your thoughts, emotions, and actions flow naturally in alignment with it. You no longer fight to change. You no longer struggle to force. You simply live as the new version of you. This is why momentum is so important. The first stages of transformation may feel heavy because the old identity is still strong. But as soon as momentum builds, the energy flips. What once required effort begins to feel effortless. What once felt unnatural becomes your new normal. This is the magic of identity work. You don't just change your behavior, you change the foundation of who you are. And when the foundation shifts, the entire structure of your life changes with it. Think about the patterns that once defined you. Maybe you saw yourself as someone who always struggled financially. Maybe you carried the identity of someone who was unlucky in relationships. Maybe you believed you were always anxious, always stressed, always chasing but never arriving. These weren't random traits. They were identities you accepted. They were frequencies you lived in. And because you lived in them, reality had no choice but to reflect them back. Now the invitation is to release those old identities. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to argue with them. You simply stop feeding them. You withdraw your attention. You shift your focus. You choose again. Every time the old story tries to rise, you remind yourself, that is no longer me. Every time the old identity whispers, you answer, I am already becoming the new self. This repetition is how you rewire your mind, how you retrain your emotions, how you realign your frequency. And here's the powerful part. Once you embody the new identity, manifestation accelerates on its own. Because now the field is receiving a clear, consistent signal. There is no contradiction, no mixed broadcast. You are aligned. And alignment is the fastest path to reality shift. This is when synchronicities multiply. This is when opportunities appear without effort. This is when people are drawn to you, not because of what you say, but because of the energy you carry. Identity has weight. Identity has magnetism. Identity reshapes the entire field around you. Momentum builds from here. One aligned action creates another. One aligned thought attracts another. Soon you find yourself living in a flow that feels effortless, as if the universe is carrying you forward. You wake up with clarity. You move through the day with focus. You go to sleep with gratitude. And instead of wondering if it will work, you begin to know it is working. That knowing is the deepest form of power. It removes doubt. It removes resistance. It removes fear. Knowing locks the key in place. But you must also prepare for resistance. Not from yourself, but from the world around you. Because when you shift identity, not everyone will understand. Some people will try to pull you back into the old story. They will remind you of who you used to be. They will question your choices, laugh at your dreams, doubt your changes. This is not because they are against you. It is because your shift challenges them. When you change, it forces others to see the parts of themselves they are ignoring. And sometimes that reflection is too uncomfortable for them to accept. This is why strength is required. You must be willing to stand in the new identity even when others don't see it yet. You must be willing to choose alignment even when the evidence hasn't fully appeared. You must be willing to hold the vision of your future self until the world has no choice but to catch up. The key is already on. The signal is already active. The only question is whether you will hold it steady long enough for the full shift to unfold. And here is a truth most people miss. The shift is not gradual. It may feel like it builds step by step, but the real change happens in jumps. Days or even years can pass with little movement, and then suddenly everything shifts at once. The opportunity arrives. The relationship appears. The breakthrough unfolds. It looks sudden from the outside, but from the inside you know it was building all along. The identity was forming. The frequency was aligning. And the moment the field reached coherence, the leap happened. This is why patience and persistence are so vital, because you never know how close you are to the leap. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. It could be one small choice away. And when it happens, the entire landscape of your life will change. You will look back and see that every challenge, every delay, every doubt was preparing you for this. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Everything was leading you to the moment when the key turned and your new identity fully locked in. The final step of identity work is integration. It's not enough to imagine the future self. You must live as the future self. Integration means carrying the energy of that version into your daily life. It means asking yourself each morning, how would my future self move today? How would they think? How would they speak? How would they choose? And then living that answer now. The more you integrate, the faster the old identity dissolves. The more you embody, the stronger the new identity becomes. This is where mastery begins. Not in force, but in embodiment. Not in chasing, but in being. You don't wait to become. You decide you already are. And once you live as that version, the field has no choice but to deliver the reality that matches. Because the universe cannot resist coherence. It cannot ignore alignment. It cannot deny the frequency you hold when it is unwavering. So let this be your reminder. You are not waiting for your future self. You are becoming your future self. You are not chasing the life you want. You are aligning with the life that already exists. You are not hopping for change. You are living as change. This is the stage you are in. The key is active. The identity is shifting. The momentum is building. And the leap is already on its way. The final stage begins when you stop searching for signs and start living as the sign. At first, you needed confirmation. You needed proof that something was shifting. You looked for synchronicities, for little hints that your key was really active. But once identity locks in, you realize the signal no longer comes from outside. The signal comes from you. You are no longer waiting for evidence. You are the evidence. You are no longer waiting for the world to show you possibility. You are possibility in motion. This is the stage of conscious creation, not the kind where you try to control every detail, not the kind where you stress over timelines. This is creation through alignment. You hold the frequency of your desired reality and allow the field to reorganize around it. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop doubting. Instead, you embody. You trust. You know. This knowing is the ultimate shift. Because once you know, the universe has no choice but to mirror it back. Living the leap means recognizing that manifestation is not a technique. It is a state. You don't need to force it. You don't need to convince the universe. You only need to be consistent in who you are being. When you are coherent with your future self, life cannot resist. The opportunities, the relationships, the breakthroughs, they align naturally. They are drawn to you because they are you. They are the extension of the frequency you are living in. And here is the deeper truth. The leap is not something you do once. It is a way of living. At any moment you can choose again. At any moment you can shift into another version of reality. At any moment you can step out of limitation and into expansion. This is freedom. You are never trapped. You are never stuck. The only walls that exist are the ones you accept. And the moment you stop accepting them, they dissolve. This is also where responsibility comes in, because now you know that every thought matters, every focus point matters, every choice matters. You can no longer claim ignorance. You can no longer pretend you are powerless. You understand that your awareness creates experience. And with that understanding comes responsibility. Responsibility to yourself. Responsibility to the life you are building. Responsibility to the people you influence simply by existing in this frequency. When you live the leap, you realize that personal growth is not only about you. It is about the field. Every time you rise, you make it easier for others to rise. Every time you shift identity, you make the pathway clearer for those who will follow. Your breakthrough becomes their blueprint. Your courage becomes their permission. Your coherence becomes their inspiration. This is how transformation multiplies. This is how collective change begins. The life you create is not limited to personal gain. It is a broadcast, a transmission, a demonstration of what is possible when consciousness takes responsibility for itself. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convince. You simply live. And in living, you radiate. People feel it. They may not understand it with words, but they sense it with energy. They see the way doors open for you. They notice the peace you carry. They witness the flow that surrounds you. And something inside them begins to awaken too. This is the ripple effect of conscious creation. It spreads without effort. It multiplies without force. It accelerates without control. And the more you embody your leap, the more the world around you reflects it. Relationships grow deeper. Opportunities feel tailor-made. Challenges become stepping stones. Even obstacles become confirmations that you are moving in the right direction. Everything begins to feel connected. Everything begins to feel meaningful. Because everything is responding to the frequency you are holding. And yet, even in this stage, doubt may try to return. Old fears may whisper. Old identities may knock on the door, but now you know better. You recognize them for what they are, echoes, shadows of a story that no longer belongs to you. They only have power if you feed them. And you no longer feed them. You feed alignment. You feed trust. You feed the vision of your future self. And every time you do, the echo fades a little more until it disappears completely. The leap is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about choosing again and again, no matter how many times the old story tries to rise. It is about standing firm in the identity you have chosen, even when the world has not caught up yet. It is about living from the truth you know, not the illusion you see. And when you do this long enough, reality cannot resist. The shift becomes permanent. The new identity becomes natural. The leap becomes your way of life. And here is the most important insight. The version of you that has already achieved everything you desire is not separate from you. It is you. It has always been you. You are not chasing it. You are remembering it. You are not building it. You are aligning with it. You are not hoping it will arrive. You are realizing it already exists. The leap is the moment you stop pretending otherwise. The leap is the moment you decide to live as the version of yourself you were always meant to be. So let this be your final reminder. Your key is not just active, it is fully operational. Your signal is not just flickering, it is broadcasting strongly. Your reality is not just shifting, it is transforming completely. The only question that remains is how fully you will step into it. Will you continue to dip in and out, holding onto fragments of the old story? Or will you commit fully to the new identity, the new reality, the new life that is waiting for you? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. You have reached the point of no return. The moment you cannot unknow what you now know, you cannot go back to sleep. You cannot pretend you are powerless. You cannot deny the truth that you are the creator. And now that you know, the leap is no longer optional. It is necessary. The world needs you awake. The field needs your signal. The collective needs your courage. Your leap is not just about you, it is about all of us. So take this message as your call. The preparation is complete. The activation is real. The door is open. Step fully into the identity of your future self. Live as if it is already done. Walk as if the leap has already happened. Speak as if the new reality is already here, because it is. It has always been here, waiting for you to claim it. Your quantum leap key has turned on. Don't miss this signal. Don't waste this chance. Don't let fear convince you to hesitate. The leap is now. The choice is yours. The life you were born to live is already waiting.